So it is past 6:30.
No, you can sit right there, you're behind the camera, look up.
It's past 6:30. I call this meeting to order. We have any agenda amendments? No, there are no agenda amendments this evening. So that brings us to our select board meeting, select board minutes for August 15th, September 6th, and September 9th. Why don't we start with the one, let's see if I have it here. Yes, start with 8:15. I think that was the meeting I was not
Correct.
at, so I will not be voting on that one. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept them as written.
Okay. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No opposed. Going to the minutes on September 6th. And I think, let's see, we were all in attendance.
But Nelson.
Except for Nelson.
And me at the last minute.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. So you might want to abstain from this one. So do we have a motion?
Have a motion to accept.
It wasn't Nicholas, was it? Bolton there?
It's Curtis, and I switched it, on the one you signed, it's Curtis.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, so it's fixed on the one that we,
Yeah, I fixed it
Great.
on the final one,
okay,
if you wanna.
okay.
Down the road, tree to reprint it all.
No
It is Curtis on
problem.
the one you signed.
Are there any other corrections anyone sees that need to be made? Other than that correction? Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept them.
a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, you were right. Going on to the meeting on the 9th.
I was not there.
Oh,
Came
yes,
at the very last second, so.
Yeah.
I
right,
didn't
okay,
expect you to-
so.
Same as Justin
So
before.
Carolyn
So.
is abstaining on this one,
Okay.
okay. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to accept the minutes of 9/9.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to honorable mentions. Thomas Downey and Carol Browner for donating $4,000 to be used to replace backboards and hoops on the ball field. Bob Kaminsky for donating $100 for the Boy in the Boot Flower Project. And a special note of gratitude to Wallingford citizens, organizations, and businesses, and those beyond our town border who have given in large and small ways to the Bromley family after the tragic barn accident. And we actually talked about this at church yesterday, and I guess they have gotten to the place where they're saying no one needs to bring any more cows to
Oh.
the farm. They now have plenty, so. Yeah.
Skip pay.
Oh, thank you. Skip pay orders, I did. So moving on to backtracking to the pay orders. There are no additions to them at this time, so it is for $25,653.47. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the pay orders.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? Seeing that there's,
Just for comments.
okay,
I see Phil is starting to charge us for equipment moving, so probably in the budget, we ought to look at putting money in for a trailer.
Gotcha, I'm gonna write that down. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Do we have acceptance on the pay orders? Because I think a motion is already in place.
A second.
Okay. Well, we already have the motions,
Okay.
we're good. So, do we have consensus to accept?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, moving on. Honorable mentions have been finished. And that brings us to the road commissioner's report.
All right, well, I talked to Steve today, a couple different things. They are working on, not
Chapin and
Chapin.
Wallingford?
no, bridge.
Oh,
They've
Kirk,
stripped-
yeah.
Kirk Camp Bridge. They have stripped that, and they've got it partially done today. Hoping if Mother Nature provides, they'll finish it tomorrow. Coming on. They borrowed an air nail and a compressor and a generator to need, so that they do that.
Hmm.
They need some nails and stuff. But they're gonna try to finish that up today, or tomorrow. They are working on going back to Blackwood and
Chapin?
Chapin Road to do some more ditch work and stuff back there. They also were talking to me about the bridge down at the end of Maple Street.
Right.
We're gonna look at that and figure out which way we're gonna go with that.
Great, I was actually gonna ask about that. It's been noticed that the plate is slowly sinking.
Oh,
That's
no,
Creek Road.
no.
Oh, Creek Road, I'm
That's
talking,
Creek Road.
oh, okay, I'm on the
Well-
other bridge.
When that falls in the river and the bridge is closed, then they'll figure out what they wanna do with that. Cause it's going to, it's just a matter of time.
Okay.
So, but no, we're talking the bridge abutment back.
The other
towards
bridge,
Albert
okay,
Jackson's house.
okay,
Just something we gotta figure out whether we wanna put another concrete abutment back there or put guardrails or
okay.
fix the underpinning of it and we go ahead and do the other. He'd been working, he got one of the trucks back together, he'd been working on one of the trucks, I think the 14 had issues.
Yeah, electrical.
And he worked on it, yes. And the other thing is, I got a little bit of roadside mowing left to do, and then that'll be done. But I looked into, as we talked about last week, or 2 weeks ago, a small, they call it bush hog head. It's not a rotary head, it's not for grinding stumps and brush. It's just a small 30-inch or 36-inch, depending on what you like, head that goes on the small excavator to do, I call it hedge trim. You could actually work it in front of you on the side of the road and trim back all the smaller brush down to 2 inches with it, whatever you could reach. It looks just like a small bush hog that on the back of a tractor, except it's set up for an excavator to swing left and right. The one I'm looking at and talking to people about, sending me some literature on it other than a little teeny picture and virtually no printout to speak of on the rest of it. It's roughly a $5,000 piece of equipment. If you want to brush hog, they could run it year-round when they had spare time.
Year round.
Especially in the fall and spring and the slow season, when there's no snow and not a lot of grading could be done. They could go out, especially when the leaves are gone, and work down the brush and stuff with it. Not gonna work on big stuff, that's still gonna be something down the road that we're gonna have to work on.
Okay. Will it take care of the issues on East Street?
Yes,
Okay.
I would say 80% of the brush overhang and the weeds and the grapevines, it will take care of.
Okay.
I did not get over there this week, I got pulled with a big job last week, my machine was pulled off. It is going there this week
Okay.
to try that out, see how that works. I talked to Steve about that, compared it. If you go with a rotary head that grinds, you're talking mid-30s.
Yeah.
And it's not anything, I think I've talked to the state, they like them for grinding up a lot of bigger stuff. We don't have that, you're not gonna do that on a private property or edge of a road shoulder. You're looking to get rid of the brush and the grapevine and weeds back a little bit. Still gonna have to do some roadside mowing with a tractor of some sort to get it down, but you should, by mowing a lot of it in the off season and some during the summer with a smaller machine, should eliminate a lot of the hours other than, like 140 Creek Road. Some of the tar roads were it's just grass and it's not feasible to drive a
Gotcha. Okay.
mini excavator down with a brush head.
Now, when you go to make the list of like the things that need for the brush cut back, do you have like a list of the
No,
locations or anything?
no, it's basically the whole town.
Okay.
It's pretty much every road in town. It's not just one, it's all.
And so it would be like, to fill in on the spare time would be like, okay, we're gonna do this today, we're gonna do that, like, when we have time open up, we can get to that, cause we've got a little open time.
Sometimes, most of the time, you don't need a second person or a third person around doing shop work or other stuff. One person can be in a machine, trimming back stuff, you know. And that's another thing with a trailer, if you're moving it a little more. But it's something you can move to Sugar Hill, do a section, keep right on going to the other end of Sugar Hill, and then do all your roads out back and forth. Same with East Street, you can bounce around there, do East Street, West Hill, Hartsboro Road, you know, go down there and you'll spend, you know, hours just down there
Right.
cleaning stuff. It's not something that's fast, but it will
Right.
get it put back, utilizing what you have for equipment other than this one piece of equipment. And it's not a big expense, so.
Does it run off the hydraulics or?
Yeah. It's all, and we plumbed right up, just like the machine is now for the summer and stuff.
Yeah.
They just have a single diverter valve in there, and you just flip it with a pair of pliers.
So the estimate of the 5,000, is that something that we have that money on hand, or we'd have to budget for it in the next?
Well, Phil and I talked about it, we have a little, depending on what his,
I'm probably gonna come in around 5,000 at brush hogging, or, mowing roadside.
Okay,
I think the budget is 8.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be about 3 there.
okay.
And Sandy brought up there was some money that we
we still have
had.
a little bit of that supplemental income we got
Oh,
from last
yeah.
spring that rolled over, we used
Did-
like 2380 for line striping,
Okay,
and then we're
okay.
using about 5 for paving
yes,
Hartsboro,
okay.
so we'd have a couple thousand left there as well.
So we might be able to
Yeah,
squeeze together the
functionally
money for that?
Do
Yeah.
this without going into another physical year trying to get the money set aside. You know,
Is there anybody that has one of these that we could go, some road crew or somebody on the select board?
No,
go look
not
at?
around here. That's why I'm trying to get some information from this gentleman,
Yeah,
so he can direct me to somebody where I can get some knowledge about
Okay,
how it works, what they think about it.
yeah.
You know, it's basically the same as what they have on a boom side mower. Same thing, except it's not gonna be on track.
well, it sounds like it might fit the need of the
Yeah.
town in that it's not gonna cost $30,000.
It'll utilize one more piece of equipment, a little more of the time, it's not sitting around, we have it, let's use it.
Okay,
So this would go on the excavator,
Yeah, the little excavator,
but that's the one that we need to trailer around.
yes. So that's something, like I said, again with the trailer. I have a trailer sitting at the house. They had a truck with a pedal hitch, you can just take the trailer. I don't, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
It's just one of those things.
Is it something you think that other towns would want to rent out from us if we got one? Or would be just not, it's too,
Well,
it would be too much of a hassle?
I think you're gonna get into a problem with wearing, more excessive wear on a piece of what we own.
Right.
That's
Right,
not
right,
gonna
right.
be worth the time to send it out
okay,
and have other people use it.
Which, on that, will that affect any replacement planning?
Yes.
So we'd have to
right.
figure,
Yeah, it'll
figure
definitely,
that
if you rent it out, it'll up.
no, I mean, just our usual, just you using it now,
Yeah.
since that you'll be using the excavator
Right.
Yeah,
more than what you are, so we'd have to
Right.
figure that into.
yeah, it'll run your
Maintenance
hours
and-
up higher on your
Okay.
machine. I mean,
That's-
look, see, I don't think there's a whole lot of hours on that machine.
But I think probably in comparison to hiring people and complaints, the would probably offset.
Yeah, it would be much cheaper to do it yourself.
It sure seems like it would be,
Yeah.
even with those.
Well, it utilizes that person
Mm-hmm.
when there's a slow time,
Yes.
Right.
and that gives it with no no leaves or anything on it, gives it a good time to use so you can see what's behind it. So, is there anything else? Oh, salt shed.
Yeah, that's next.
That's okay,
So-
that's it.
Before we get to the salt shed, is the material, has that been removed before the inspection that I think is happening Thursday?
Down from Blackwood, the logging stuff that's in the ditches and Blackwood and Chapin. The logging operation
They're
out
not in the
there,
ditches, like
Yeah.
parked in the side in the ditches.
Charlie said that it's, yeah.
If the trucks are, well, where are they gonna park? You gotta, you
No,
can,
that, no, from logging operation, there's a bunch of stuff left in the ditches that were already cleaned out for the grants and aid thing. So Charlie said they'll have to get up there this week to clean it out again before Stephanie inspects.
Well, I guess I missed that, 'cause I was there
Why?
today twice in the dump truck. I didn't see them, the trucks were parked there.
Okay.
Where were you?
But I'm building that new header for them.
Okay.
And I didn't see other, some twigs or something that fell off the brush in the road.
He was
I
talking
didn't,
about.
I must over,
He was talking
well,
about
I know,
today.
I bet he's talking about the far end where they put the new header. The government had them put the new header.
Okay.
He said it was a mess. They gotta get it cleaned out before Thursday,
Oh,
cause
I know.
Stephanie's.
He's talking about the turnaround. Right at the T intersection, they knocked that knoll off. The turnaround made a flat area there.
Okay.
So that's something that will, I guess we'll have to talk to them about it.
Yeah. Okay. Because it looks like it's gonna get inspected on Thursday, so.
Yes.
Okay.
As far as the actual ditch line in the roads, I don't think there's anything in them.
Okay.
I think it's the turnaround.
It's the
there.
turnaround?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's the T.
Okay.
We have to do after pictures too, so we'll need pictures to send to the state that,
Yeah, they're gonna have to stay off that thing. We clean it up
Yeah.
and seed it. I don't know how that's gonna work, because they're
We
turning
need
the
to-
trucks around.
we just need to get it cleaned up before Thursday and
Yes.
stay off until Thursday.
Well,
Well.
I don't know what the government will say about that.
Okay.
Because they're the ones that are kind of running the show up there.
Okay.
He's sitting there, he tells them what to do. These guys are just doing what they're told.
Okay. Okay.
I'll talk to them.
Thank you. Okay, so,
We don't need to lose out on $14,000.
No.
right.
No, it's just that, I think what would happen is being, that it's just a short section right there, that they may grandfather, when they're done logging, which is gonna be roughly 2 months, they would say in the spring, just finish that and do that. I don't know. I'm not, they're obvious to see what's going on there. And it's not gonna be just them. They're coming back in there with multiple crews this winter. And they're gonna be in there for the next 2 years.
Our deadline to prove what we've done with this project is September 30th. We have to submit everything by September
Yep, I
30th.
understand that.
Finished photos, everything.
Yep, I understand that. So
Okay.
they need, I guess what we need to do is figure out with Forrester and the government on that project.
Yes.
Well, I think
What's going on and what we can do about that. It's up to them.
by Thursday.
Yeah, by Thursday.
Well, I'll talk to them.
Okay. Okay. So, ready to move on? Public comments? Do we have public? No. Okay. Moving on to the sand salt shed. Okay. So we have the application here. We talked about this last meeting. And we can see here, so it looks like we got some clarification on, and I meant to do some math, which I did not do. I clarified that the town award would be a maximum of $625,000, but the town responsible for 20% of that amount, and then 100% above the $625,000. And he's estimating the project through Otter Creek being $693,000. Okay. So we have some decisions to make. How do we want to proceed with this?
I think we should wait. Because it seems like there's gotta be more options out there than just that
That's where I was going.
cloth building.
That seems extreme.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a lot of money for a canvas building.
Well, it's a tarp, steel frame
Yeah.
tarp, is what it is, a tarp shed.
Okay.
I understand stuff has gone crazy, but that's a lot of money. There's gotta be somewhere's in there, a happy medium where we can come in under what we have granted to us possibly, and, picking up the difference of the 20%, not getting going over by 70,000.
So the first question is, what can we do to make do if we're not going to proceed on this year? Can we make do with what we have now?
We'll have to.
Okay,
Just go ahead and with what we have, until we can find a different option. I agree with Bruce.
and if we're looking at a different option, any ideas of how we're gonna proceed with that, or?
It seems like, well, maybe like one of us board members and Phil and Steve and, you know, we could do some investigating, see what, I just off the top of my head, you know, maybe like a Morton Steel building or,
Well, I was just thinking that that's gotta be close to, for per square footage, what a steel building costs.
I would think so too,
I
I
can
mean,
make a couple phone calls to dealers on homes. Just that seems street. Most steel buildings, you're gonna have to do the same thing with blocking and stuff like that. It seems like,
but you got a steel building when you're done.
yeah. That seems really high.
So,
Would the steel, would the salt actually affect the steel? in the
Well, if
ground?
it gets into it, it will.
But I mean, you could maybe line the perimeter of the building with concrete block or
You
something
have
to,
to, I think that's one thing you have to do.
Okay.
Not
So
every-
wherever the salt would rise up to, you'd have to make sure that there was some kind of.
And I'm sure that, you know, condensation, wouldn't have an issue with it, you know, it's really moist and something. If you take a tarp building, is that, what did they figure for square footage?
do we have that?
He has
80.
used,
I have
figures he gave us with tonnage. You know, whatever he came up with, he used.
Yeah, but you must have a square footage for the size of this building that you proposed. I mean, you just can't be guessing at this.
somewhere I saw that.
Square foot.
So it's just the price he had, nothing else.
Right. Just the 320 for.
Yeah, all he had was a price. I thought he,
Where's the structure?
It was on this page.
It's the last item on the that little readout.
Oh, there.
It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't include any of the engineering things.
No, it has,
There should be a, you know, a 75 by 125 or
there's no,
You know,
there's no dimensions that I can see.
somewhere I thought one of the things it said 80 by 100, but I, don't hold me to that.
That sounds familiar, but I'm also not a straight quote.
I just think at this point we should hold off and do some more investigating on other options.
Because especially because like if I was doing the math right, if we had to do 20% under the 625, right?
Right.
That's $125,000. Then we're doing the difference, the full difference of $68,000. That's $193,000 that we
Basically
spend outside of.
$200,000
Yeah.
that we would
That's-
be
yeah.
responsible for. Just seems-
That's a big chunk of change, especially if we're going for a grant anyway. Like it's.
But that's on top of the grant, it's just.
No guarantee you're gonna get the 500,000 either.
Exactly.
I just don't understand why there's no, like, dimension of this building.
And I'm trying to go through old ones, old try to see if I can find anything about the salt shed. Past ones.
Yeah.
Do you see it on this first, is it colored ones? Does it have it on there?
65 by 144 feet, Phil.
65 by 144.
Here we go.
Yes,
What do you think for height, Phil?
it'll probably be 25 feet at least to the center.
Okay.
I found a calculator online. I'm curious about if it's actually going to give me anything before making me contact somebody.
The two I've been in, I can actually unload logs in the log truck. They're that high.
Yeah.
And it's at least 25 feet. In the center, in the arch.
Okay.
His additional cost. Cost of the building and everything, and all that.
So what do we think about the idea of having a board member sit down with Phil and Steve and explore options for the shed?
I think, sounds like it could,
Okay.
I mean, when I first started seeing the price of this, I was like, wow, this is so much. It just seems insane
Okay.
for what it is.
So Bruce would be happy to work with Phil and Steve on this?
Sounds
Are we
good.
all in agreement?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're happy with me.
I have no idea if this is accurate. I found one, buildingsguide.com for a steel building prices and cost estimator, and it said it was $85,000 for a 50 by 150 by 22.
Well, okay. I think it's well worth
Worth the
us
time.
looking
I mean, this
into
might be
the time
incredibly
to
inaccurate,
investigate
but-
other options. I mean, even if you have to put in, concrete block.
Right.
At the price of the concrete block, you could almost pour a foundation.
Right.
$60,000, 58,698
Mhm.
for blocks. You could almost pour a wall for that.
And the
Okay.
wall would keep out the salt much better than blocks,
Yes.
as the blocks had always.
You're gonna have some blocks.
Right.
Right. Right.
Kind of neat,
Well, I'll be very interested to see what can be figured out here. And I think it's the right way to go. Okay.
We'll hold off on the grant, we're not gonna apply.
We're gonna hold off on the grant. Is there, when can you apply for the grant
We
again?
can do it next fall.
Next fall, okay. Okay, so hopefully we can hang on for another winter and, yep.
Is it a grant situation, if you apply for it, you have to use it within that year?
I know, it's like a building up in there.
Why don't we apply for it? How do they need the numbers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need a whole plan.
That's
I
why,
understand that.
yeah.
I thought it was a one-shot base number that we would get.
No, that's why we needed a proposal, because we have to, yeah.
Now,
That's why we're taking
Yeah.
concrete engineering to do this.
Do you think you would be able to get us a steel building quote?
I can ask them, yeah.
But just whether or not that would be under the services he's already rendered, or if we'd have to pay extra. But then if he can do that work for us, and then if maybe it gets in by the 7th, then we could theoretically still apply for it.
7th of November?
October.
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 That's only, what, 3 weeks though?
Yes.
It's right before our next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah,
The one thing, if you go through him, is he's gonna put a markup on the building.
for sure.
I'll make a phone call.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on this? It looks like we've wrapped this up for this evening. Thank you very much, Phil. Much appreciated. Okay. Moving on.
Is that what it
Fitzgerald Environmental Associates Agreement, Elfin Lake Erosion Reduction Project. Okay, so we have that agreement here. And so what we need to do with this, so this is a copy of the draft agreement.
Yes.
Okay. It's for the preliminary and final design as well as permitting in relation to the project. Okay. Do we have any input changes, additions, or deletions?
right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. See anything that needs to be changed? Or elaborated on? Okay. So, I think we will need a motion.
Do we just need consensus, just because it's only one person signing, or?
Can we do that? So do we have consensus?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, we have consensus. Great. Moving on. Errors and omissions, Comcast. So this is from John Tiffany.
Yes.
Yeah. And so basically he explains what happened. When Comcast reported their value, the new gram list had already been created and the tax bill was already sent. And then there was a bit of a time lag for different reasons. So the question is, do we want to approve the errors and omissions?
Make a motion to approve the error and omission for Comcast.
Do we have a second?
Is it anything that we're gonna be paying them at all? Or like we have to pay back because they've already paid taxes, or they haven't done that yet?
I'm not sure. Do we need to have a second before we can discuss? So we need a
So
second.
sorry, for just for discuss, sorry, I thought it was to pass it.
No.
Oh,
it's-
second to discuss.
Yeah, this is to
Yeah,
discuss.
sorry.
Okay. Discussion.
I don't know if that's the case or not, Justin, but that happens quite often, that
Okay.
we pay people back that have overpaid or.
For sure.
First payment isn't even due till October 17th, I bet they haven't even made a payment yet, so it's
Okay.
unlikely we'll do that,
Okay.
Okay, cool.
especially if they found.
Seeing how they were the ones that found it, I doubt that they have paid.
Right.
Right. Correct, okay. So I think we have a motion to approve the errors and omissions. Okay, so, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. It is approved. Moving on. We tabled this issue the last of September 6th meeting. It's the West Hill Cemetery Gate. And so basically what's going on with this is adjusting the lot line and the placement of the gate. Okay. So, do we want the gate removed, moved, or locked?
Everybody else had a chance to look at it.
I did not. I tried to do it the other day, but I was not able to get it back.
From what you've seen with it, Bruce, what do you think?
Some of the initial discussion was the road leading up into the cemetery also lies off to the left, going it back onto the Taylor property, and some of that discussion was to move the gate to where the road lies, so Taylor could put it back on the property. I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, that way we wouldn't have to be dealing with a locked gate if somebody wants to get up in there.
So then, if we put it there, it would not be, it would be an unlocked gate, so people could get there? I wanna make sure
The
I'm
gate would be
understanding.
locked for going onto the Taylor property.
Oh, so the gate would be locked there, and then they could
But it
go
would be,
up
it would
to
be
an opening.
an open pathway, or, it's not really a road anymore.
So
but-
it would help keep the private property private and still let people have access to the cemetery.
Yeah.
What do you think of that idea?
And that's the only house, the only property right there.
Yeah.
That would be affected by the gate.
I think at this point, they determined that part of the, one end of the gate is on Len
Count?
Cadwalder's property, because he's gonna have to, provide an easement or whatever, if we kept, if we kept the gate there,
Oh,
he was gonna have to provide an agreement, so.
so if we move the gate,
Then
we
we
don't
need
have to
it.
do that?
Makes
Okay.
sense to move it then.
Yeah, it sounds like it makes sense to move the gate. To the Taylor property.
Especially if it's really just ostensibly
them.
just to, for the Taylors.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
as it stands now, the access into the cemetery is Taylor, it's a right of way through Taylor's property.
Right.
Gotcha.
So they have it locked at this point.
Okay.
Once the town took over that piece of property, it wouldn't matter to the Taylors if the gate was further out.
Okay.
Right.
I think we need to have a motion. Do we need a motion or consensus? So we can do this by consensus. Okay.
Agreed.
Great.
Okay. Great. We have consensus. Okay. So select board comments and concerns? The one concern I have is the Creek Road Bridge. Of it sinking. What plan do we have? What's happening with the state with that bridge?
State?
Well, I don't know. What's going on with that bridge? I mean, I know that the plate there is sinking and at some point will drop away. Is there anything we can do to address this, or is that basically the route we need to take with this?
Unless you put an engineer in there, I'm sure he's gonna say that bridge is gonna fail.
Okay. Right.
I'm not an engineer and I don't wanna say that. Eventually, there's gonna be a really big hole in
Okay.
it. And then, they're probably gonna have to go to that suspension bridge over that. Till they figure out what they're gonna do. But it's way down the list. I think it's like 19, isn't it, on the list? I mean,
I mean, we've been saving money for a long time, but we
yeah,
can't even keep up with,
the
what we're
interest.
saving doesn't even keep up with what it's gonna cost to replace it.
Okay.
I mean, I think at budget time, we should talk about putting a
Yes.
temporary bridge over it or something.
Yeah,
We
Okay.
talked about that a few years ago.
yes, we did. Yeah, this,
Okay.
Like doing like a metal bridge, almost like what's going over the creek at the, which one,
Okay.
the rec fields, as a temporary thing, knowing that it's not gonna
They actually
last.
make a suspend bridge.
Right.
Oh, really?
Self-contained bridge, and go over that. You rent them from the state.
Oh,
And it's not a lot of money. What is it, like $100 a month, I think, or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of money, but it's a temporary
Right.
fix. You know, when you do something like that, then you're saying, okay, this bridge is past its prime.
right.
Now we're gonna have to spend $5 million to replace it or whatever. So then we have to take the next step, or I guess, I don't know how that is gonna work.
Okay.
The little money we put aside every year when we cover the inflation rate.
Okay. Well, it seems like this is something we'll need to discuss. So we'll bring this back up at budget time and start to make a plan.
'Cause I feel like even also if they did put a temporary one in, they would have to demolish the existing one now. And that would be something, right?
No, they would block it off.
They block it off?
And they would just basically make a, like convert it
They'd probably
around.
go either right over it in the same bridge area or to the left of it if you're going north.
Okay. Okay. Because I feel like it's skinny enough already that it really, you can't really fit too much.
No, it would be definitely a one-lane bridge. You'd have to put light on
Right.
Okay.
and stuff. The issue going to the left is taking up True Temper's parking lot. I don't know how that would.
Okay.
So in 2018, we discussed this with Brian Sanderson from Vtrans.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent me an email. He said there's a number of ways you could go. He said if you were to install a temporary bridge over the existing structure, which he said I wouldn't recommend if you plan on working on the existing structure, it would be $10,000 to $12,000. To install a temporary bridge next to the existing structure, preferred so that you can maintain traffic flow while working on the existing structure, it's between $30,000 and $42,000, plus $1,000 shipping. And then back then, it was $60 a month to rent.
But right now, we don't even know if it's salvageable in terms of the bridge itself, whether it needs to be completely ripped out or it can be.
Sorry, I stepped down. Are you talking about the bridge over Otter Creek?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm talking with the Rutland Regional Planning Commission about that bridge every single meeting.
Okay.
And the problem is that if we lose that bridge for some reason, then everybody on the northwest side has got a long way around to come back this direction. There's no alternative route.
Right.
So I'm trying to get them to put that on the emergency list, the state in place. Quite frankly, I've been out there for 30 years, and repairing does not seem to be economically viable. What needs to happen is there needs to be a temporary bridge put off to one side of it, and probably on the opposite side of your temporary.
Yeah, it would be the
And
west
then-
side.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then go in, rip it out, put the bridge in. That's what we're looking at. What I'm trying to get them to do is while they do that culvert immediately erode back this direction so that they get that culvert up through Denver parking lot at the same time. That also is a real problem because we're doing both at once.
The two overflow culverts
Yeah.
that run back into the brick.
Yeah. You know the condition of that.
Yeah, we extended them after Irene,
Okay.
just to hold them up.
So we're working with Rutland Regional Planning on it every single month.
Okay.
And if it's the consensus of the select board, we want to take more immediate action.
Thank you. Thanks for that update.
One of the reasons.
Okay. So that was my concern. Did any other comments or concerns from select board? Hearing none. We have any other business that needs to be discussed?
What are the locks in the town hall?
What's that? Oh, yes, locks.
locks.
Yes. Right. So those keys still haven't been found, right? Okay. So there would be, okay. So from Green's Auto Unlock, we've got a quote of $150 for a site visit. And then $27.50 to rekey each lock, and how many locks are there?
No, it's the side door and the front door. both
So there
use
would
the
be
same-
two, okay.
Yeah, same key.
And then the cost of keys, 15 keys, okay.
Or we could just do nothing.
Hope.
What do we think? Do we need to?
I mean, if anything happens where somebody does get in and somebody does steal or anything else, our insurance is not really gonna, especially if we have it in minutes that we've talked about, the fact that there's a key missing. Yeah.
I don't think it's an unreasonable amount of money to,
Okay. Nope.
Yeah.
So do we have a consensus on this? Yes?
Nope.
Okay. We have consensus. I was at the bench dedication for the carving studio on Saturday. It was lovely. It was great. Some of the sculptor who helped oversee the project and a couple of the students were there. And it was really nice to meet with them. They did beautiful work. And I think it's something that is just gonna enhance the town for a long time to come. Okay. I think we might be at that place.
There's a couple other things in other business, the rec, do we need to talk,
Do we need to talk about
and the,
with the,
no throughway traffic sign.
oh, yes,
Oh, yeah, we know people, traffic signs.
yes.
Well, then,
I know they're not enforceable, but I'd like to put up just to slow them. Some of the out-of-staters that use that for cut over down.
We
Couple
don't,
close ones.
we don't have to worry about those no through traffic signs confusing anybody who like lives here, do we?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. They're on Sugar Hill, Randville.
Okay,
You know, they're on
oh,
half the
really?
roads up through there.
Okay.
If they don't know how to get home,
Yeah, because people are just gonna go ahead and, okay.
I just want to slow down a few of the others.
Okay.
Because it's ridiculous.
So what do we think? Do we want to put up no through traffic signs on Church Street?
so the recommendation that you got, Sandy, was basically, they can do it, but
Yeah,
We have to change the traffic ordinance, or?
if you want it enforceable, we have to.
that's only if you wanna make it enforceable.
Do we want to make it enforceable? Do we just want to put the
It-
signs up?
It'll do what it needs to do if it's posted
Yeah, cause how can you
there.
even
I'm not
enforce
looking
it?
for
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can tell somebody they're going someplace that they can't,
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So
Buy, buy a couple signs, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess we have consensus on that too. And then, I'm not quite sure about this other item, the one at the concession stand.
Well, we got that email you got from Bill Lawson about how he could, or not necessarily that he could do it, but you could do it without having to do building plans.
Which-
Okay.
What he discussed in that email seemed more logical, you know, without, because one of the concerns I had before was like, once moving around any plumbing, how old that plumbing would be, what can of worms were we gonna be opening, and that's what he kind of addressed, that we need to do that. So,
Okay.
and it just seems more, and also what the building's actually used for.
So, I think the rec is gonna be talking about that next week.
Okay.
And
Good.
kind of quoting down what direction we're going.
Good.
And how we
Okay.
Okay.
Because I would say definitely before we would want them to come and, present what they want to propose. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
This is when I do the gavel. Motion is, meeting is adjourned.
You gotta vote it first.
Oh, we have to vote it.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Aye.
motions, those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Now I gavel.
Yeah, here.